with Doug Fitzgerald on 1499.3 KLIN.
All right, let's talk some fallout today. Keyword today, fallout. Today is going to be about assessing the fallout from the election results last week. A week ago today, by the way, Wyatt. Everything happened here. You were down, sun in your hide, while we were getting all voted on here and watching these election results come in. And there are a few things I want to discuss, but I'd also love for you to join me. I really need your opinions today. I need your thoughts, your opinions. I'm going to ask you a question if you think I'm right or wrong. So call or text the Hunt Irrigation Talk and Text line 402-479-1400 on this Talk and Text Tuesday. You can also comment on one of our 8 social media feeds as well. Well, first, I'm going to just kind of go through a little list here and then we'll dig into them. First, last Wednesday, I played a Meltdown clip. Actually, clips. It was a montage that I found that I liked, of people on the left posting on social media that were fully on verbal attack mode, verbal threat mode, verbal hatred mode towards anyone who voted for Trump. I got some pushback on that. And I want to ask you a little bit later on if I'm right or wrong in this. So I'm going to discuss that. Secondly, there's some major infighting, disagreeing within the Democratic Party. No surprise, now that they've lost a major landslide. Got some clips and responses from the Biden, Harris, Pelosi, Sanders groups as they're all turning on each other. Third, how about Kamala Harris? They're calling it a $1 billion disaster with her campaign, with all the money that she spent over the last 6 weeks. It was a major amount of money.
Oh, I could dive into that topic.
We're going to dive, baby. And then finally, I'd like to give you maybe some updates if we have some time as far as where all the election numbers are right now. Plus, if we have enough time at the end, I'm going to play the most requested Schoolhouse Rock episode from the result of yesterday's show. So we'll get to that. Again, it's Talk and Text Tuesday. If you have a question or comment, you can call or text the Hunt Irrigation Talk and Text line at 402-479-1400. And you can also comment on our social media feed as well. James just chimed in. Trump's victory is one of the greatest comeback stories in history. It really is when you look at it. And it wasn't just a comeback. It was a domination. Total red wave, tidal wave, sweep across the board.
Yeah. I think after looking at all the results, I was kind of expecting him to win in a bit, but man, just in the House and the Senate, that's what kind of shocked me more.
I know. Well, Senate shocked me. House, I was thinking maybe, but then when they said the Senate right away, pretty much right away, they were saying the Senate was going to flip. And it sure did. And then it was just and they called it, and this is something I didn't get to talk to you about, Wyatt. So what was really cool is I was watching Fox News after we had our extended election coverage here on Drive Time, Nebraska. And that night they were talking about the Senate, and they announced all of a sudden the Senate had flipped power to the Republicans because of, do you know which race?
I do not.
Deb Fischer, Dan
Really?
Osborne race. Yeah.
Because of, dang.
Yeah, at least that's what they were saying at the time. Because of Deb Fischer winning, they flipped the power in the Senate. And I was like, yes.
That was crazy. And I think that was just a bigger race than a lot of people, didn't expect to be so big. Everyone here, we were so used to, Deb Fischer, Dan Osborne, blah, 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 blah. But it got some major national attention.
It got national attention, but here's what ended up happening. He ended up losing by huge, over seven points. So it wasn't close. But a lot of emphasis was put on that because they knew across the country, the reason why all that money was coming in from out of state is because they knew that the flip of power in the Senate was on the line, and they didn't get it. So
crazy, man.
All right. Well, let's talk about this. One of the things that I discussed last Wednesday, we had a Talk and Text Wednesday, were the meltdowns on the left that flooded social media. Now, to start out, I completely understand if you're disappointed, right? If it didn't go your way, you have every right to be disappointed. That's absolutely normal. I was disappointed. There were things that didn't go the way I wanted them to. But from my perspective, just because it didn't go the way I wanted it to, doesn't give me the right to spew hatred and threats against those who didn't vote the way I wanted them to vote. And after playing the clips last week, I got criticized for this. I got criticized for this, for making fun. I wasn't making fun. I was pointing out being assaulted. Anybody who voted for Trump. Now, I didn't play clips of people that were just disappointed and sad. That's the whole thing you have to understand. These were people that were specifically spewing hatred and attacks and threats on social media where they posted them because of anybody who voted for Trump. There's a big difference between being disappointed about the way elections went and then turning around and making it an attack on those that voted opposite of where you were.
Oh, I totally agree with that, man. I saw all the sides of that on all social media, and this is coming from a young man's perspective.
That's what I appreciate, because we were talking about it yesterday. Your perspective just as a 23-year-old.
Yeah, I had so many people who I went to high school with, who I went to college with, and they were just totally out there saying, if you voted for that orange man, don't even bother coming back to this page. Like, don't even bother messaging me. Don't bother friending me. Like, just unfriend me. I don't even want to talk to you in real life because you hate me. You hate all of my friends, everyone who I stand for, the whole shebang.
Step by step. Now, here's the thing. Here's the question I want to ask. Am I wrong in this? Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. I'd love to know what you think. Call or text 402-479-1400. Am I being insensitive? All right, here it is. Here's what I played last week, and listen in.
How did we get here? How did we get here? What in the Alice in Wonderland nightmares is going on right now?
All I can say is, how dare you?
If you voted for that man, if you voted for anybody other than Kamala, and you live in one of the states that it was, close, or if you didn't vote, you.
Senate race. It's not going to happen.
Go Kamala.
Returning to the Senate.
How the is this still happening? All I've ever known politically is hatred.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done with you and your mother and your sister. I'm just done with all of this.
I'm sorry to all my friends who are Trump supporters. I don't understand how scared of this man I am. If this guy does end up winning again, all of the people who voted for him will be like happy and they'll just be celebrating. And everyone else, everyone who feels threatened by him is fucking scared. Like we're scared for our lives. We're scared for our friends.
How dare you put this man into office for another 4 years, knowing damn well what it means for our country, what it means for us as a people.
To know that there is that much ignorance and that much hate in this country, it's so terrifying. It's so terrifying.
How the fuck are we back in this same situation again? Who the is voting for him? Genuinely. I don't want to hear about how your life gets under his policies. Live with that decision. Sit with it. Let it make you uncomfortable.
I'm sorry. No. Why? Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
Oh, am I wrong in pointing out the verbal attacks, threats, hatred for anybody else who didn't vote the way they did?
I will say in those clips, I really didn't hear any threats, any verbal attacks. Obviously, they were saying, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. Blah, 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 blah. That was just their frustration. I didn't hear any verbal attacks. I definitely did hear clips this weekend that were total opposite of they wanted to kill you if you voted for Trump, if you were a white male, per se. Those clips definitely came out after this week, but these clips specifically were not ensuing violence of any sort. So you may.
I think they were very hateful. And they were saying, if you voted for him,
I wouldn't
X, Y, and Z.
I wouldn't say they were like, I don't know. I would describe hateful as like saying that like, I hate you so much that I'm going to do X, Y, Z to you. These are just people just being like you're just insane, blah, 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 blah. Because I feel like in a lot of these clips, I wouldn't get hurt if they would have said him physically and emotionally. Like, you can say whatever you want to me. I've had many people say a lot of things to me. I like, at the end of the day, I don't care. Like, personally, it takes a good chunk to get me offended. So it's just whatever.
That's my whole point. My whole point is, how do you react to this? We're going to talk about this after the break. Okay. We're going to talk about how do you react to something like this after the break, especially if it's pointed to you, directly to you. And we'll get into that. And we're going to get into other things as well. We're going to get into some of the other things that are happening on social media. And that's where I'm going to rely upon you, Wyatt, to talk about some of these things that go way beyond what we just heard. All right. Let's talk and text Tuesday. Call or text in. We'd love for you to do a Hunt and Irrigation talk and text line 402-479-1400. And your chance to play Fantasy Huskers is right around the corner. Thanks so much for listening to Drive Time Nebraska.
Living in Nebraska means severe weather is always in season. Your severe weather action team is based on 1499.3 KLIN.
Barb Ballard with the From Nebraska Gift Shop.
At the From Nebraska Gift Shop in Lincoln's Haymarket, we celebrate the best of Nebraska. We love Nebraska and we enjoy helping others share that same joy and passion. Whether it's a gift for a client, thanking an employee, or attracting new customers, do it with a personalized gift basket featuring a variety of Nebraska-made foods and unique gifts. It's the best Nebraska has to offer. The From Nebraska Gift Shop, providing the perfect gift for any occasion.
There's something to be said for American-made, but at Monolith, we're helping create Nebraska-made. From here in Nebraska, we're producing low-emission carbon black for tires across North America. Soon we'll be providing farmers with locally made fertilizer to reduce our reliance on foreign imports. We're investing hundreds of millions in our multiple Nebraska facilities and employing Nebraskans in high-paying jobs that support families and communities. Monolith, Nebraska made.
For over 80 years, Farm Bureau Financial Services has been protecting farmers and ranchers season after season.
You need to know you're covered and you've got somebody covering your back.
You've got local people that everybody knows.
And we have a good policy and a good agent, and I guess that's what you need to be able to sleep at night.
Loyal, local, and rooted in ag for over 80 years. Learn more at fbfs.com/rootedinag. It's your future. Let's protect it.
Hank Williams Jr. Are you ready for the contract? Live in concert. It's a family. Bocephus Live.
Boy can survive. Alabama women.
Friday, November 22nd, Pinnacle Bank Arena.
Put it apart and I was born to boogie. All my rowdy friends are coming over.
On sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Hank Williams Jr. You're listening to Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald. Disagree with Doug? The guests? The topic? Call or text 402-479-1400 now to be a part of the show. KLIN weather brought to you by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical.
Increasing clouds and breezy this evening with a 20% chance of rain. Temperature dropping into the upper 40s by midnight. After midnight, mostly cloudy and breezy with a 50% chance of rain, low in the upper 40s. Wednesday, mostly cloudy and breezy with a 50% chance of rain, high in the mid-50s. From the 1011 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Brandon Rector.
KLIN Time Saver Traffic, delivered by Paisanos, Lincoln's best brick oven pizza.
On the downhill side of our drive time traffic, no new accidents or major delays. Most traffic moving well. A few volume slowdowns, especially Nebraska Parkway from 33rd to 40th, primarily westbound. Also, Normal Boulevard southbound from A Street to South Street. Do watch for slower traffic. We do have several construction projects and utility projects. Watch for lane shifts and lane closures. If you come across anything that gets in your way, call the traffic hotline 402-479-1414. Lincoln's listening to Time Saver Traffic.
Tackling the issues that truly matter to Nebraskans head on, with the occasional targeting call. This is Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald on 1499.3 KLIN.
Well, it's going way too fast, Wyatt. We're already about halfway through. I haven't even touched upon what I want to talk about yet. All right, we want to thank our title sponsor, Lincoln Coin and Bullion, for just taking care of us here at the show. Their sponsorship is so important to us. If you're looking at buying gold, silver, platinum, or palladium, no sales tax here in the state of Nebraska and no capital gains as well. So call them up. They work by appointment only, 402-327-2853. And they've got a great website that shows everything that they have to offer. You can look them up at lincolncoinandbullion.com. Well, yesterday we honored the freedoms that our veterans fought for us to give us here in this amazing country, the United States of America, on Veterans Day. I played the Civic Series from Schoolhouse Rock, memories back from the 70s and 80s, remembering sitting there watching cartoons on Saturday morning while I was eating a big bowl of cereal. So if you missed that show, check it out. Check out the podcast at klin.com or your favorite podcast service. And speaking of Schoolhouse Rock, if we have time at the end of the show, I'll play the most requested Schoolhouse Rock episode because of yesterday's show. All right. So in the first segment, we talked about the meltdowns from the left that really flooded social media last week. There's still plenty more coming in as we move forward. Texts are coming in as well. Thomas says, those of us who have young kids know what a tantrum is. Emotional blackmail, it sounds like to him. And then Jeremy said, these people are nuts and brainwashed. Now, why you had a good perspective on that. So my question is for you. You didn't get offended. I didn't get offended. I just, what frustrates me is then they blame us. I got blamed basically for pointing this out. Their responses, they put it on social media. Is it insensitive for me to be able to share this and say something's not right here?
No, like once it's down on the internet, it's fair game, dude. Like, you're going to say something like that on the internet, you're going to lash out and just show your emotions like that. You are going to get hate on the internet no matter what, whether there's going to be someone who's agree with you or not. That is the beauty and darkness of the internet. Once it's out there, there is no taking it down, and you just got to deal with what you put out there.
Beauty and darkness.
Yeah.
That's deep, man.
Dude.
I like that.
Yeah. Believe me, this is nothing. This kind of hate is nothing.
Well, we'll talk about some of that. So if you have a comment or question, you can call or text the Hunt Irrigation Talk and text line 402-479-1400. You can also comment on social media. So here's what I want to ask about this. This is really where I want to get to. First of all, again, if you're disappointed because of the election results, everybody has a right to be disappointed. But to me, I honestly believe that our culture is letting people down like this. I believe our culture has created a scenario where we're seeing all this hatred being spewed, no matter how it's being shared or communicated with people. To me, ultimately, I believe it's a spiritual battle. That's just where I stand on this personally. But the question is, am I wrong for even sharing this? Now, here's the question I want to ask. If you had a friend, now listen close to this one. If you had a friend or a family member who came to you and said that their spouse or their family member or a friend of theirs was talking to them in this way directly to them, and they wanted your counsel, what would you tell them to do? That's the question. What would you tell them to do? So that's my question. I'm going to play this again, and then I want to get your reaction.
How did we get here? How did we get here? What in the Alice in Wonderland nightmares is going on right now?
All I can say is, how dare you?
If you voted for that man, if you voted for anybody other than Kamala, and you live in one of the states that it was, close, or if you didn't vote, you.
Senate race. It's not going to happen. Go Kamala.
How the is this still happening? All I've ever known politically is hatred.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done with you and your mother and your sister. I'm just done with all of this.
I'm sorry to all my friends who are Trump supporters. You don't understand how scared of this man I am. If this guy does end up winning again, all of the people who voted for him will be happy, and they'll just be celebrating. And everyone else, everyone who feels threatened by him is fucking scared. We're scared for our lives. We're scared for our friends.
How dare you put this man into office for another 4 years, knowing damn well what it means for our country, what it means for us as a people.
To know that there is that much ignorance and that much hate in this country, it's so terrifying. It's so terrifying. How the fuck are we back in this same situation again? Who the is voting for him? Genuinely.
I don't want to hear about how your life gets under his policies. Live with that decision. Sit with it. Let it make you uncomfortable.
I'm sorry. No! Why? Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
Do you hate me that bad? How do you hate our country like this? How dare you? If a friend or a family member came to you and said that their spouse or their friend or a family member was talking to them like that, Wyatt, how would you respond to them? What would you tell them to do?
I don't know, man. I would probably first tell them take a deep breath, because that just sounds like a lot. Obviously they're frustrated and stuff, but just like take a deep breath, go get a walk, drink water, whatever you drink, your preference. I said water, man. You don't always gotta drink beer. Don't be thinking I'm an alcoholic here. You can just go take a deep breath, get your mind collected, all that, and then come back and then let's discuss it out. Let's discuss where we disagree. It's like, because if you're gonna come at me that heated, I'm gonna tell you to cool down, because I ain't dealing with that. We got to cool down. If you want to disagree with me, whatever, that's fine. Let's do it civilly. There you go.
And drink water. So let me ask you this then. You've seen some other crazier things. You were saying in the previous segment that there's a lot more worse than this. What have you seen? Because I've seen some things too.
I think one of the
disturbing things.
I have seen some disturbing things. I think the craziest one that I saw was a woman threatening to shoot white males in general. No affiliation practically whatsoever. She was just threatening to just shoot any white male she saw on the street in dark. And I just said, bet, okay. I wasn't fazed by it, but it's just one of the many things that I think has come out of this, where a lot of women have just threatened to do so many things to men, whether it's shoot them, not have sex with them, stuff like that. Like that's been a big trend too.
Well, the TikTok one was the poison one.
Poison one too. That's another one too. Yeah, there have just been so many threats. And I think people really want to marginalize that. Oh, it's the women of the left that are threatening people on the right. There have been threats from the right too that have seemed like a joke too. I don't know if you saw that text chain where African Americans, I want to say at HBCUs, got text saying that they were going to go to a plantation tomorrow just because Trump won.
I saw that. What was that?
That was through a certain app. I forget the name of the app, but it was someone texting African Americans, and it was targeted towards people attending Black universities, saying that at 6 a.m, you're going to be our fresh new slaves, and someone's going to pick you up, and you're going to be picking cotton. Something extremely racist like that. And so that's why there have literally been just stuff from the right and from the left, because people think, oh, great, Trump's won. Let's go crazy. Let's threaten African Americans, minorities, all that. No, like that's still not acceptable.
I agree. If this would have been 4 years ago, same thing. I mean, I'd be looking at this stuff going, you're nuts.
Gosh, I know. And that
doesn't matter which side you're on. That's my whole point, is our culture has created so much of a divide with people. And it's not about, my point here isn't to make fun of people. My point is to say there's something deeper going on. We've been talking about it on Drive Time Nebraska, getting under the surface, getting behind the curtain. There's something deeper going on. This is a spiritual thing. This is a cultural thing. Whenever we're threatening people like this, it's not right. And so I don't bring this up to make fun of people. I bring this up to say there is a problem with our society. And when it's this vocal, this out there, especially when there are so many, I could tell you stories. I could tell you stories of people, and I won't even get into specifics, but people doing things that just blow your mind because of the fear that's been created in their minds over something political. I don't get it. So
yeah, no, the culture has definitely changed. And I definitely think this election was the biggest showing of the culture change. I think not only from the left and their reaction, but from the right during the campaign speech. And maybe that's something you and I can talk about off break, because there was someone on Trump's team who had a major part in the election in the younger demographic. Someone you might not expect.
All right. Little teaser there. Let's take a quick break here, Wyatt. When we return, we're going to see if Kamala really did create $1 billion disaster, as her campaign people have said, which is very interesting. A lot of fighting, internal fighting going on. And now over $20 million in debt. So we're going to play Fantasy Huskers in just 1 second. Stay tuned for that keyword and get ready to text it in. Cities from across the state, they're listening to Drive Time Nebraska.
Your voice, your station.
Help the ones at home first, you know?
The conversations that matter to you.
Our infrastructure is crumbling.
1499.3 KLIN, the voice of Lincoln. Unsure what to do with inherited coins or bullion? Lincoln Coin and Bullion provides line item appraisals and secure appointments. Call to discuss or schedule an appointment. Does your business need quick, competitive financing for heavy machinery, trucks, or other equipment? Currency is here to help. Whether you're financing construction equipment, farm equipment, trucks, trailers, or any other big ticket item, Currency will automatically find the best rates. Currency facilitates loans for up to $500,000 with repayment terms up to 72 months. It's fast, easy, and free to use. Visit gocurrency.com and apply today.
Enjoy your life at Fallbrook Assisted Living and Memory Care in Lincoln. Here's Megan Hayes, Sales Director.
At Fallbrook, we promote a lifestyle where you choose, encouraging friendships, flavorful meals, and supportive care when you need it. We're all about you and helping you feel at home. We invite you to enjoy your life at Fallbrook Assisted Living and Memory Care. Call us for a tour.
Apartments are available. Visit fallbrookassisted.com, an MJ Senior Living community.
The vehicles at Rent-A-Van are far more than four wheels that get you places. They're mobile planning rooms for your business team to prepare for that big presentation. They're also ultra comfortable and roomy enough to catch a nap on the way back. Rent-A-Van provides a moving studio for impromptu family sing-alongs. The vans are an assurance that your crew, family, team, and any group on an adventure get there in a reliable, comfortable van that has been through rigorous safety inspections. Your plans, our vans. Rentavanlincoln.com. Now open in Omaha.
You're listening to Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald. More of the show coming up on 1499.3 KLIN. KLIN weather brought to you by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical.
Increasing clouds and breezy this evening with a 20% chance of rain. Temperature dropping into the upper 40s by midnight. After midnight, mostly cloudy and breezy with a 50% chance of rain, low in the upper 40s. Wednesday, mostly cloudy and breezy with a 50% chance of rain, high in the mid-50s. From the 1011 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Brandon Rector.
KLIN Time Saver Traffic, delivered by Paisanos, Lincoln's best brick oven pizza.
Wrapping up our traffic reports, no new accidents or major delays, most traffic moving well, all things considered. We do have a couple of slow spots. Nebraska Parkway, 33rd to 48th Street, running slow, particularly westbound. Also southbound, Normal Boulevard from A Street to South Street. We do expect a slower commute this evening. We do have several construction projects. We'll want to watch for lane shifts and lane closures. Driving needs your full attention. Don't be a distracted driver. Buckle up and put the phone down. Make sure the headlights are on. Keeping you moving with Time Saver Traffic. I'm Chris Lofgren.
Raising the roof on the issues that truly matter to Nebraskans. With the occasional net violation. You're listening to Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald on 1499.3 KLIN.
Well, thanks everyone for calling, texting in, commenting on social media. We appreciate it. We'll get to those here in just a second. Hey, it's time to play Fantasy Huskers, brought to you by Nebraska Sign. We're so grateful for them. Your chance to put your name in the hat to win, as always, every single day while we're here. Valentino's Best of Big Red. How about that? Gift cards, $50. Today's keyword, it's going to be interesting to see how many people spell it right. I'm not even going to spell it out. They're just going to have to text it in. We'll see if they get it right. Coliseum. Texting Coliseum, the keyword today, to 402-479-1400 for your chance to win. Obviously, the Huskers heading out west to take on USC, brand new offensive coordinator. Excited for this game. We'll see if Raiola gets to start or not. Pregame starts at 11, kickoff at 3 p.m. Heard right here on KLIN. All right. Well, we are talking about all the meltdowns that have been going on through social media and the hatred and the spewing that's going out there. Shelley text in, you should not apologize, because that's my question. Should I apologize for bringing this up and discussing it? Like, or do we just ignore it? But Shelley said, you do not need to apologize for sharing this emotional tirade with the listeners. Anyone who chooses to come unhinged on social media is inviting feedback. That's really the whole point of social media. A lot of people want the attention. So we got a caller in, Wyatt. They didn't want to necessarily be on the air, but they did talk to you for quite a while.
Yeah, they wanted to just kind of bring up the point, kind of referencing back those texts to African-American students. And they really just wanted to raise the question, was this not from a specific group? And was it, not a political ad in some way? I think they were really raising the question of, was this meant to be from a certain political party in a state in order to monger fear and drive votes, even though these were texted after the election? I did like the point they brought up.
Did it come before the election or after?
It was after the election, but they still don't know who has sent out the text. I know it's still an ongoing investigation. So I think that is a very good point. We don't know if it was a person from a specific group or whatnot. We just don't know. So
they're eventually going to find out anyway. So if you're going to say stuff like that, you're going to get caught in some way. Now, why you had talked about that, there was a secret sauce that got mixed into Trump's campaign. What was that?
There was, and I was kind of shocked a little bit when I heard about this, but it made sense really once you put two and two together. Barron Trump, Trump's tall ass son, who should be in the NBA right now, by the way. He
how tall is he, by the way?
6'4", taller than me.
More than that,
he's taller, like 6'4", 6'6". He's taller than me, and I'm like 6'1".
Find out. You keep talking. I'm gonna.
He was a big influence in what social media podcast Trump should have been on. And really, that was an aspect I didn't think about till the end, because I figured Trump would go on like all the usual frat boy podcasts and all that stuff, For the Boys, all that stuff. He went on a lot of popular podcasts, such as Bussin' with the Boys, Joe Rogan. He went on with a popular streamer, Aiden Ross, who gifted him a custom-wrapped Tesla Cybertruck. I mean, he really went on a targeted campaign with these social media shows, which I found was very interesting. And it made sense who would pick him because, if you looked at some of the pictures of, just some of his social media team, you could kind of maybe get a guess. But, once someone pointed out that it was Barron, it made a lot of sense to me because that just seemed like the target audience they really want. And that was a big factor in Trump's victory this past Tuesday.
Getting your age vote.
My age vote, not my specific vote. No one knows who I voted for. Y'all got to keep guessing. But my age group, my white guys like me, just fresh out of college, they wanted that group and they hit that target on the dot.
It was very noticeable. Kamala started jumping on these podcasts late.
Right at the end.
Late.
And she did a bad job at it too.
Very bad. And spent way too much money. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit.
Way too much money. Really tried to just make it her way or no way. And that was really exemplified with the Joe Rogan podcast, which everyone wanted to see her on.
Well, and Trump was on that one for 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
He was.
That's like half the afternoon.
But here's the thing. Kamala, she wanted to do it at her choice, her time frame, nothing else more, which you could tell she wanted to hone that question, which was not fair. Joe Rogan opened it up to both candidates with equal representation for each, like a fair media should, because that's the rules for media and radio and television. We learned about this in school. You got to have equal representation of both parties. He offered that to them. Kamala wanted to control that narrative, and he saw right through that BS.
Well, you're a little off on Barron's height, at least right now. I'm sure he's not done growing. He's 18?
Something like that.
6'9".
Damn.
6'9".
Crazy.
He'll probably be close to 7 foot by the time he's done. He is tall. That kid is tall.
Nice.
So, all right. Well, we're going to take another break here. Everything's flying by way too fast. We're still playing Fantasy Huskers. Your chance to win is still out there. You can text in the word Coliseum to 402-479-1400 before we pick our winner. So thanks again for calling, texting, commenting on social media, still plenty of time on Talk and Text Tuesday to join the conversation. We'd appreciate it. Thanks so much for listening on your drive home today, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
The conversations that matter.
Close the border now.
Led by you.
It just makes sense.
This is 1499.3 KLIN, the voice of Lincoln. You're listening to Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald. Sports Nightly is next on 1499.3 KLIN.
To be a part of Nebraska medicine
Hi, welcome.
is to be a part of something extraordinary.
Nebraska Medicine, how may I help you?
Because these are the doors that open doors.
How are you?
To growth and opportunity, to advancement and impact, to extraordinary teamwork.
That went really well.
Together, for each other, and for our community. Because within the doors of Nebraska medicine,
Good to see you.
we welcome your curiosity, value your voice,
Dr. Richards, what do you think?
and partner with you to chart your path to do the extraordinary. Together.
You got this.
This is our commitment we never take for granted. Because when you open the doors
Let me get that.
to Nebraska medicine, you open yourself to an academic experience, a life experience, an extraordinary team experience beyond what you can get anywhere else. And that's exactly why here is where you belong.
Ready?
Nebraska Medicine. Together, extraordinary. Join us at nebraskamed.com/careers.
Have you thought about pre-planning your funeral? I'm Logan Schneider, a funeral director at Roper & Sons Funeral Home. There are many benefits to pre-planning a funeral. Pre-planning allows you to articulate your end-of-life wishes, relieves your family and friends from making difficult decisions during an emotional time, and eases the financial burden. You can trust Roper & Sons professionals to answer your questions and help you create the meaningful service that you want. Roper & Sons, we're here to help you tell your story.
This planet is so incredibly beautiful that I can't get enough of it. I did 950 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail, and Good Feet was with me all the way.
Are you worried about pain and discomfort? Don't let your feet get in the way. Learn how the Good Feet store can help you.
Your passion's important, but if your body aches and if your heel feels like you've got a nail stuck in it and won't come out, trust me, it's going to wear you down. The Good Feet store knew what they were talking about and took the time to really dial in what I needed. I hiked 84 miles in the Himalaya and to do it pain-free. You think I'm not grateful for Good Feet?
You deserve a better life too. Come to the Good Feet store today. Visit the store at 27th and Pine Lake Road across from South Point Mall or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. Good Feet, because you deserve comfort in your life. No waiting required. Good Feet arch supports are immediately available and proudly made in the USA.
You're listening to Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald. More of the show coming up on 1499.3 KLIN. KLIN weather brought to you by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical.
Increasing clouds and breezy this evening with a 20% chance of rain. Temperature dropping into the upper 40s by midnight. After midnight, mostly cloudy and breezy with a 50% chance of rain, low in the upper 40s. Wednesday, mostly cloudy and breezy with a 50% chance of rain, high in the mid-50s. From the 1011 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Brandon Rector.
Now back to more Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald on 1499.3 KLIN.
Well, King, congratulations for texting in and winning today's Fantasy Huskers, brought to you by Nebraska Sign. We appreciate that. Your question now that you have to text back to us and answer is, when will the last scoring play of the game be on Saturday? So give us a time and a quarter. And now your name's in the hat to win Valentino's and Best of Big Red. Your next chance to win will be tomorrow morning with L&K Today with Jack and Friends. And then again, like always, right here on Drive Time Nebraska tomorrow afternoon. So, all right, Today has just been an interesting day. We've been getting all kinds of comments coming in, texts, social media, phone calls. We appreciate that. We're going to get to those here in just a second. I do want to say yesterday was Veterans Day, and we had a great show on Friday with John Berry, CEO of Berry Law, also a veteran himself. And he came out with a brand new book that he wrote to celebrate the brave men and women who've served our country and to provide leadership tools and resources for businesses and for your personal endeavors. And that book is called Veteran Led. As of yesterday, it's available now on Amazon.com, anywhere fine books are sold, or at berrylaw.com. It's really a good book. I saw it. I've been thumbing through it. Powerful guide to leadership using the same discipline and resilience that helped him in the military and in the courtroom as well. So again, you should grab your copy. Do it today. Go to berrylaw.com, Amazon.com, or anywhere fine books are sold. All right, Mike had a good text in. I had to take a second to read this, but I think it's really good. I think it kind of sums up maybe a little bit of what we've been talking about. He said, I think when you're dealing with people that have unsubstantiated fear, the best way to approach it is to just start asking questions and try and understand what it is that's making them fearful and what it is that has made them so upset. My experience is that there's no substance in their arguments to support that fear. They've just been told to be scared, and they're scared, and I feel sorry for them. But I do wonder, when we get down the road a year or two and they recognize the reality of the situation, that all things that they were told Trump was going to do have not happened, whether they are capable of rethinking and understanding that they were actually being lied to or not. It's a good point. It's all about walking alongside people. It doesn't matter if it's the election, doesn't matter if there's something more difficult that happens in your life. We actually had Tracy Morrow on from Colorado several weeks ago, where we talked about when major crises happen in your life. What do you do? How do you handle that? You can go back and listen to the podcast of that. Check that out. All right, Wyatt, is there anything else you want to do to wrap up that segment? That went longer than I thought it was going to go.
That did. Not really. I think, if anything, I really just want to say that this is kind of foreshadowing the next election, and kind of, I would say, in my opinion, it's going to be a big emphasis on the younger generation, my generation, and the power of social media that's going to have on the election, because it had a big impact here. And I think if the Democratic Party wants to win back not only the presidency, but the House, the Senate, all their parties, they're going to have to come back with a new campaign strategy. And I know you mentioned that Kamala seemed to have a big flaw in her money.
Yes, we're going to talk about that. Imagine if we'd elected her. We found out real quick how she's handling her money. They're calling it a $1 billion disaster. The campaign spent more than $1 billion in the last 3 months. $1 billion. Let that sink in for a second. That's 1,000 million. $1 billion in 3 months. You should do some work on that. How much of that is that a day? $1 billion divided by 90.
I don't know. All I know, I could buy a lot of Pokemon cards with that.
You could buy a lot. And she spent a ton of money on celebrity influencers, radical activist groups, private jets. Now, this is all within the FEC filings. So Federal Election Commission, this is all being in there. 2 $500,000 payments to Oprah Winfrey's company.
Dang.
2. She got $1 million. They're saying Beyonce got 10 million. There's a company, an agency out there that brought in a lot of these social media influencers. They paid them 4 million. And then there's a whole list of celebrities, right, on the trail. Bon Jovi, Ricky Martin, Jennifer Lopez, Bruce Springsteen. The Washington Examiner said that the campaign spent over $12 million on digital media, spent 6 figures on building a set. Now, you talk about podcasts. They spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on building a set for Harris's appearances on the popular podcast Call Her Daddy.
Now that is the shot.
Just for the set.
Just for the set. That's crazy. Because I feel like that podcast already has its own unique set. Like, that's just really trying to shape your own narrative. Like, come on.
It is.
Like, come on.
$15 million on event production overall. The campaign spent multiple 6-figure checks for left-leaning groups, vocal on defunding police, reparations, and that are tied to radical activists, which is interesting. Then you get to climate change. You know, she's like, hey, this is an existential threat to our world, our being. She spent well over $4 million just in aviation flights for private jets.
Okay, Taylor Swift. Now, here's what I find interesting, though. I felt during the debates, she made that her big selling point. I know a lot of people on the left made that their big issue was climate change. But towards the end, it felt like it really shifted towards more women's reproductive rights. And we really didn't hear much about that issue, which I think if they really wanted to kind of tackle some of the people on the right and those independent voters, that could have been an issue, especially for male voters who think that they don't want to have control over a woman's body. So they should have a more important issue, which they should have tackled that. But that didn't come up towards the end.
Nope, it didn't. Here's the whole thing. Campaign reportedly right now, $20 million in debt. Despite having, and get this, despite having raised more than $1 billion and having $118 million in the bank as of October 16th, they are now $20 million in debt. Now, Trump being Trump, came out on social media and said, hey, you know what? If you're $20 million in debt, I can take care of that for you. Do you think he's going to do it?
No, but I heard McDonald's is hiring.
I think he posted that too. Yeah. It's going to take a lot of McDonald's for them to take care of that. So there's money everywhere. Now here bottom line, here's where the rubber meets the road. There's a lot of infighting within the Democratic Party. Lindy Lee, who is a surrogate and DNC National Finance Committee member. So this is somebody on the Finance Committee. And I saw this interview, actually. I watched it live, where she was talking about they were being told one thing about the finances that were coming in and that were being spent. And they came to find out towards the end that it wasn't even close to being true. She said this, the truth is, this is quote, the truth is, this is just an epic disaster. This is a $1 billion disaster. And this is somebody part of your finance committee. Now, imagine if you'd elected Kamala and she was in charge of the national budget. Here's another thing that I heard too from some friends, that they were getting a lot of, towards the end of the campaign, they were getting a lot of texts, a lot of emails and calls asking for people to donate money. My kids even said that too. They're 27, 24, that they were getting these, that the Democratic Party was asking for raising funds, obviously, because they were spending it like drinking water.
Yeah. Wow.
They knew what was going on at the time. And you start seeing that. So interesting contrast with all this. I know we didn't get into all the differences. There was a Pelosi, Bernie Sanders infighting where they got after each other a little bit. Bottom line, Senate has total control with 53 senators from the Republican Party. Trump received 312 electoral votes. And I think right now they're saying 214 out of the 218 Republicans for Congress to take power of that. So we'll see. We'll keep you updated on all that. All right. If you'd like to listen to the podcast of this show or any previous show, you can go to KLIN.com or any podcast service. Special thanks to our texters, commenters, and callers. We appreciate that. And to Wyatt for taking care of us behind the scenes. There's only 82,200 seconds left until we see each other again, my friends. I want you to seize everyone, and I want you to have a good night. Sports Nightly is up next.
From the Momo Pizzeria and Ristorante Studios, we are the voice of Lincoln. KLIN Lincoln. KDDK HD3 Lincoln. K257GN Lincoln is 1499.3 KLIN.